Food, yummy, yummy food. Do you enjoy your food? Do you love your food? Do you eat for pleasure? Or is food controlling your life? And do you have a horrible argument every time you want to have something to eat? So you go to the fridge and you go, I'd love to have that, but I can't have it. Or I'm going to have it, but then you feel guilty if you have it. My entire career path has been about getting people healthy, fit and strong, mentally and physically, and loving their food and loving their exercise. But a lot of that has been about people who have a terrible relationship with food. They would rather not eat at all because they hate what goes on inside their head before they start eating. Or they eat enormous amounts of food and then throw it up or take laxatives to poo it out. Or they eat large amounts of food and then exercise fanatically to get rid of it. Or there's just this control of food is this thing inside my head that I'm constantly having an argument about. So there's an interesting thing called the food emotional scale. So at one end of the scale, 0, you have no emotional attachment to food. You just eat when you're hungry, you stop eating when you're full. There's probably not a great deal of pleasure to do with food. You just eat because it's part of a normal part of life. I'm hungry, so I eat food. That's at one end of the scale. That's the 0, no emotion contained in my eating process at all. Everything about my food is logical. The other end of the scale, the emotional eating scale, is that at 10, food is controlling your life. So you can never eat anything without having an argument inside your head. So can I have this? Should I have this? I can't have it. How many calories has it got? How much exercise will I have to do to burn it up? And people have shared with me that when they're at 10 on the emotional eating scale, that not only is food controlling their life, but they end up hating food altogether. So they either eat large amounts of it, as I shared, because they hate it so much they're trying to damage themselves with food, or they don't want to eat at all. So we have anorexics, don't want to eat anything, bulimics, who eat and eat and eat and eat and then try and get rid of it or exercise it off. Then there's morbid obesity, where you just eat and there's no logical reason to eat. You don't eat because you're hungry. You eat because you're angry or because you hate food so much that you're trying to hurt yourself with it. Now, all of that to me is a really horrible headspace. And the reason I don't think we can change adults. I can't put it any other way. Once you know something, you can't unlearn it. So if you know how many calories in food, you know that you have an emotional attachment to food, food makes you angry or upsets you, you're at 10 in the emotional eating scale. And of course there's 0 to 10. So you might go through phases in your life where you are completely logical about your food and then other times you're emotional. But ultimately, I would like to stop this emotional end of the eating scale. Now, I can't do anything about adults, but I'm constantly asking the question, if you are a parent, if you're a teacher, if you're a coach, how do we stop our kids from ever being anorexic, bulimic, exercise fanatics, morbidly obese, have challenges with their food? How do we stop that from happening? And it seems to be, and I don't have an answer for this, but it seems to be that when we tell somebody you can't have, mustn't have, don't have, it's a bad food, there seems to be a connection between bad food and bad person. If your children, the people in your life that are little, that aren't mature yet, are constantly hearing dieting, body fat testing, counting calories, can't have, mustn't have, don't have, shouldn't have, that's a bad food, is it possible that that then becomes part of their headspace? So how do we make sure that our young adults, our future adults, our kids don't have any hassles with food? And is it possible that we as adults need to live the example of eat logically, eat when you're hungry, stop eating when you're full, don't eat for emotional reasons? Now, if you're doing that and you're doing that in front of your kids, I'm eating because I'm angry, or I'm eating because I'm upset, I'm eating because I'm emotional, I've just had a fight with my partner, so I've got to eat some food. Is it possible that our kids hear that, see that, experience it and think that it's completely normal? I'm very privileged. There's only been one time in my life, and this is just a personal story. I've always been at 0 on the emotional eating scale. I've always eaten logically, love my food, but eaten because I want to eat, not for any other reason. Until I went in a bodybuilding competition where I started counting calories, measuring my body fat percentage. I had to look a certain way. And it completely screwed up my head. Because I was focused on food, I was focused on calories, I was focused on the way I look. Interestingly, there's very few people like this in the world, but there are some people who just eat because they love food, They eat when they're hungry, they stop eating when they're full, they don't have any emotional attachment to food, and they're usually in great shape. They have a body that works well. And I'm very privileged that I've got out of that horrible headspace of the bodybuilding competition. It took me a very long time. But to me, the perfect eating plan is exactly that. Eat when you're hungry, stop eating when you're full, eat all the foods that you love, never restrict them. Don't eat any of the foods that you don't like, because why would you waste calories on food that you don't like? And eat for pleasure and for performance. And the only way to do that, of course, is to have a healthy endocrine system, because your hormones are what control your eating habits. We often think about hormones as being the emotional part of the human body, but the hormonal system, the endocrine system, is designed to make sure that we stay alive, that we feel good, so that we can reproduce. So our hormonal system is designed to make sure that we eat when we're hungry and we stop eating when we're full. And we can only have healthy hormones, we can only have a healthy endocrine system when we have a healthy, fit, strong body. So the only way that I unscrewed my headspace from my bodybuilding competition was to get as fit as I possibly can be and as strong as I possibly can be, so that my endocrine system is working really effectively, so that my hormones are controlling, yes, my eating, but I'm in control of my hormones. So I eat when I'm hungry, I stop eating when I'm full, I eat, yes, for pleasure and for performance, but totally logically rather than emotionally, because obviously if your endocrine system is screwed up, you start eating emotionally rather than logically. So it's a very simple process. If you want to have a healthy headspace in relationship to food, if you want the people in your life to have a healthy headspace, particularly our kids, could it be a really good idea to get really fit and really strong? Because when you're really fit and when you're really strong, your endocrine system works effectively, and that's the one that controls your hunger. You only eat when you're hungry, you stop eating when you're full, you don't eat the foods that you don't like, your body will tell you what you need to eat. You can actually have a healthy headspace when it comes to food. I don't want people to live in a headspace where I can't have, mustn't have, don't have, shouldn't have. I'm a bad person if I ate that. I feel guilty if I eat it. I want to, but I shouldn't, but I do, then I feel guilty. That's all. Guilt is an emotion. Stress is an emotion. If you're going to be logical about your food, get fit, get strong, so you can actually live your life to the max, including when it comes to food. Wouldn't it be nice to have a happy, healthy head, a happy, healthy body, a happy, healthy brain, and an endocrine system that controls all of that for you, so that you can live your life to the max? Super duper doo, how are you? Going to the fridge to find some yummy food. What shall we have? Yummo! Woo!